and welcome to round 5 here at Grand Prix DC. Marie Bartholdi in the booth with the expert Jacob Van Lunen. And we've got some pretty intense European teams down in our feature match area. Even Flock, Thomas Hendricks, and Joel Larson. We're going to start. Go not quite there. We're going to start on table C. Here we are. Versus Martin Dang, Christopher Larson, and Thomas Enevoldsen. Starting action with Thomas versus Joel. Mesa Unicorn versus a Gitu Chronicler.
And here we see Gitu Chronicler being played for 2 mana. This is one of the reasons why this format has slowed down so much, is that instead of having 1/3s with no abilities at all, now the 1/3s for 2 mana become really powerful in the late game. Like Gitu Chronicler here as a 1/3, just staving off aggression from Thomas Enevoldsen, whereas if Joel had drawn it later on in the game, it would have been really powerful.
Enevoldsen able to attack in with the Unicorn, gain some life up to 22 there. But Joel Larson, as you said, just freely able to block with that 1/3. The flexibility of that card, too, is so important in making a format really interesting. Here we see an Academy Journey Mage going to bounce that Unicorn back to Enevoldsen's hand. And an Icy Manipulator hits the table.
And now the Icy Manipulator, a pretty good card in this format. A lot of people think it's one of the better non-rares that you can possibly get in all of Dominaria. However, Joel has a pretty good way to punish this Icy Manipulator here. Karn is about to come down. Now, the hallmark card of this format. Oh, no, never mind.
How about some Siege Gang Commander here?
Yeah, that matches up pretty well against Icy also. So, yeah. Larson with both Karn and Siege Gang Commander in hand. I didn't know about this Siege Gang.
Okay, so yes, we do have an issue here. The names are and the life totals are swapped.
Oh, okay.
I noticed when I saw the enormous ring, which Joel Larson is very famous for wearing. So we'll try and get that fixed for you as soon as possible.
Yeah, Siege Gang Commander, a 10 out of 10. It's almost certainly within the top 3, maybe 5 cards in the format. I personally think it's the second best one. So, turtle here.
What's the first best?
The first best, Multani.
Oh, yeah.
Multani is, in my opinion, the best card you could possibly have in Dominaria Limited. The thing about Multani that makes it so unbeatable is that it has reach, so they can't fly over and beat you. You can't use removal unless it's Blessed Light.
Arvad the Cursed here for Joel. There we go. We're getting the life totals and names updated. Taking a look at Arvad there, a 3/3 Death Touch Lifelinker. Other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. Maybe one of the most fun cards to be able to flash in if you have Wrath.
Oh, absolutely. Making your Wrath nice and juicy.
All right, we've plus Karn here for Enevoldsen. Is able to put a island into hand, a blink of the eye under the Karn there. We had Karn immediately on camera, our very first game of the day, and here he is back again, and we saw that card completely take over the match.
Yeah, the first time we saw it, I believe it gave its controller 6 or 7 extra cards over the course of the game. Just disgusting. Here, Thomas already up a card now. Gave Joel something he has to worry about, something he has to deal with, and he's not applying much pressure right now. And that blink of an eye, that can easily just jump right into Thomas's hand on the following turn, and that's a really powerful spell to just get to pick up for free. A little bit of a delay here. They're talking about turtles.
Deep Freeze targeting Arvad the Cursed. Turns that card into an 0/4 wall. Defender is still legendary, notably. That actually came up earlier today when we had a couple of legendary creatures with a deep freeze on them and able to cast a Jaya's Immolating Inferno, nevertheless.
Yeah, that's one of the disadvantages of a card like Deep Freeze over actual removal, is that when you Deep Freeze your opponent's legend, they are still able to use their legendary sorceries.
And here we see aboard the Weatherlight from Larson, able to reveal Urza's Ruinous Blast. And like we mentioned, that legendary type still being attached to Arvad, potentially very, very important. Sure enough, here we go. Urza on the Sylex blowing things up. Arvad stays in play, is able to attack Karn down to 3. That was great.
Yeah. We spoke about it right before it happened, and there you go. You get to see why Deep Freeze is not a hard removal spell in a format like this with these legendary sorceries.
Karn, though, still on the table for Thomas Enevoldsen. See if we can yet get some value out of Karn. So we're going to plus again, reveal the top 2. Rampaging Cyclops and a Fire Fist Adept, not too bad.
Yeah, a pair of decent cards there.
Fire Fist Adept going under the Karn. Rampaging Cyclops in hand for Enevoldsen. See if he can do anything to stop that Arvad the Cursed from knocking Karn down to 1.
And he at least has the Cyclops in hand to attempt to hold the Arvad at bay. But if he's worried about the Cyclops getting killed and then the Karn getting attacked down to 1 or something like that, he could always use a removal spell on the Arvad right now, which would be a safer play. Yeah. Oh, so he does have the fire. That's what it was. Nice.
Yep, there we go. Fiery Intervention. Arvad the Cursed falls down. Swamp is the draw there for Yol Larson. We've got a Mesa Unicorn hitting the table and an Urguros, the empty one, a 4/3 flyer.
And that Mesa Unicorn, I believe, has been in Joel's hand since very early in this game when it was returned there by Thomas's Academy Journey Mage.
All right, so we've got a flyer in the air that can potentially pressure Karn. We're going to plus once again up to 5. Get to Journey Mage into hand there for Enevoldsen off that Karn plus. And a stacked hand for Enevoldsen. Yol looks like is down to 1 card.
Yol really needs this Urguros to live and to live for some time if he wants any chance of winning this game.
Starting things off here with a Rampaging Cyclops, followed up by a Tolarian Scholar. Just kind of gumming up the ground here for Thomas. Back over to Yol.
And now Yol does have the Urguros in the battlefield still.
Right, so we definitely saw the Unicorn pointing at Karn. I assume the Urguros is also going there. Gideon's Reproach will take care of the Tolarian Scholar. Karn drops down to 1. Cyclops remains in play for Thomas, draws an island.
Yeah, Yol has no cards left in hand now.
I think he still has 1.
Oh, he does? Oh, okay. It's
Black
invisible.
sleeves, yeah.
Yeah.
Another Karn plus up to 2. And he's got to make a decision on if he wants to cast any of those right now.
Yes, I don't think Thomas has a clean answer here, unless he drew a flyer for his turn.
Cloud Reader Sphinx here for Enevoldsen is going to scry 2.
And that's great. That's exactly what he was looking for. It's a card that can trade with this Urgoros. Continue to protect that Karn here.
Get to Journey Mage. No other wizards in play, however, so he won't be able to ding Larson for 2. Get to Journey Mage, just pulling a pizza out of the oven, like you do. Urgoros is going to trade there with the Cloud Reader Sphinx. And we are actually going to minus on this Karn here to be able to put another Journey Mage into play, and this time we are going to deal 2. Knocking Larson down to 12. Fire Fist Adept is going to take care of the Unicorn.
So a nice play there from Thomas, playing the Journey Mage before the Fire Fist Adept there. If Joel had a removal spell, he could have made that Fire Fist Adept deal less damage.
Well, that was pretty nice. Able to claw his way back. Thomas Enevoldsen taking down game 1 versus Joel Larson. Update there from table B as well. Christopher Larsen versus Thomas Hendricks. Larson up a game there as well. So up 2 games currently for the team of Dang, Larson, and Enevoldsen here in this team sealed event. Flock, Hendricks, and Larson have some work to do to come back here in this team match. Currently sitting here in round 5, both teams currently at 4-0.
And it looks like Martin Dang picked up a game there over even Flock also. Everybody up a game now.
All right, so the left side of your screen heavily weighted here, so we've got their work cut out for them. Flock, Hendricks, and Larson in this European battle.
Yeah, the Great Danes showing off.
I wished that both Larsons were player B or player C, so they would have had to play each other. And I said that to Rich, and he goes, well, at least you could have said one of those players committed grand larceny.
Yeah, I think we can still say that. I think we should have just waited until one of them cast Inbolus's Clutches, though.
Oh, yeah,
right?
That's true. Okay. Well, if one of them has that, I think it'll be appropriate, even though we already know the joke.
I think it's still appropriate, even though the joke's already there. It's one of my favorite uncommons in this set.
Inbolus's Clutches?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It might be the best one. Probably is the best one. Song of Freyalise is pretty good. Eldest Reborn is pretty good. I don't think either of them are as good as Inbolus's Clutches, though.
I'm giving Inbolus's Clutches number 1.
Same.
A lot of pros here at this tournament this weekend, as we are only 1 week out from the Pro Tour Dominaria happening next weekend. Be sure to tune in. Standard and limited, of course, draft. Getting pretty pumped, JVL.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best draft format we've had in a really, really, really long time.
I'm loving it.
I am also. I'm addicted to Magic again, thanks to Dominaria. It's a limited format. I could just play sealed this set or draft this set all day, all the time.
You know what's interesting, too, is what kind of surprised me about it is it seems rather simple on its face, Dominaria. It's nothing like really too complicated that you're looking at. It's not like you're playing Lorwyn and there's 75 on the board tricks that could be activated or whatever. And yet you're able to craft some really interesting and unique decks pretty deep into the format. All right, let's go to table B here. Christopher Larson versus Thomas Hendricks. An Easter Glider on the table for Hendricks. Larson's managed a couple of Saplings as well as Spore Crown Thallid in 3 colors.
Yeah, so now Christopher already produced 6 points of power on the table here on turn 3, potentially much more. Okay, that's going to do it.
Yeah, Shivan Fire is going to take down the Spore Crown Thallid, which was extremely powerful on the board as it sat for Larson, so pretty critical card there. Saproling still able to get in for 2 here. Thallid Omnivore, the follow-up play here for Larson, a card we've been talking about all day. Just very strong, kind of a must-kill situation.
It's a card that I think is going up and up in everyone's pick orders.
Oh, here we go. A nice card to deal with Saproling tokens. Radiant Lightning out of the board, I imagine, for Thomas Hendricks. The Omnivore with nothing to eat just swings in for 3.
Yeah, Christopher's probably okay with that.
Elfheim Druid here. helps you cast your kicker spells, and a Knight of Malice. How do you feel about this little glider that Hendricks has in his deck?
So I think the Glider is a fine card, as long as you're not playing against a white opponent. I think that, when you're playing against people who could potentially have cards like, ooh, okay.
Like this one?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
Sure.
just want to talk about the Eldest Reborn for a second. But,
Yeah.
the reason you don't want it against white decks is because there are cards like Sarah Disciple
Sure.
and whatnot, and they're going to be able to block it in the air pretty soon. It's also pretty weak against blue decks, but against Jund colors, it's a really good aggressive creature. Not really good, but fine.
Eldest Reborn here, as you mentioned, for Christopher Larson, is an excellent saga. Each opponent has to sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, then discard a card, and then you get to put a planeswalker card or a creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So can get back his Spore Crown Thallid if he wants. That Omnivore as well.
It's just a really powerful card. A 3-for-1 often, as we're going to see it be here, where, Jaya Ballard was in Thomas's hand. Now it's in his graveyard.
Oh, is that what he discarded? You're right. Keldon Raider here is going to do a little rummaging. And back over to Larson, Chapter 3, Eldest Reborn. What do you want? Yeah, do I want this Jaya? Nah. Thallid Omnivore.
Yeah.
when you pick a Thallid Omnivore over a Planeswalker.
There's a good show for us, and a good showing of a professional player choosing to put in Thallid Omnivore to play over a Planeswalker.
Hey man, sometimes you just want that common. Kicked Saproling Migration here. Oh, and your favorite card there,
my
Multani in hand,
goodness.
and Muldrotha for Christopher Larson, and there was the handshake. Larson able to get it done here, taking down this match 2-0 over Thomas Hendricks. So Martin Dang or Thomas Enevoldsen just has to win one more game for their team to advance to 5-0.
Yeah, a pair of mythic rares that start with the letters MUL left over in Christopher Larson's hand at the end of that game.
Still had all these, man. All right, let's check in here at Table C. Thomas Enevoldsen versus Yoel Larson. We have Sanctum Spirit in play there for Yoel. Get to Journey Mage and an Academy Journey Mage. Journey Mage is all around for Enevoldsen.
Yeah, it looks like Yoel is playing some type of historic deck. Now we see the Sanctum Spirit. We already saw Board the Weatherlight out of him in Game 1.
You only want to run Board the Weatherlight if you're running quite a lot of historic cards.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why Thomas is thinking about not attacking here. A lot of the time, you kind of just need to force them to have it when they have a Sanctum Spirit, and just play as if they don't have another historic card in their hand for the most part. But knowing that, Yoel's deck has so many historic cards, it's going to make it really hard.
All right, we're using the Merfolk Trickster offensively here to enable the Journey Mages to hit the red zone for Enevoldsen. Back over to Larson. Sanctum Spirit does have lifelink, but as you mentioned, he's got to have it here. Enevoldsen is not going to press the issue, however. Mesa Unicorn the follow-up. There you get a look at Sanctum Spirit. You discard a historic card. It gains indestructible until end of turn. But, I mean, the cost is not insignificant. You've got to discard a card.
Yeah, and it's also a historic card that you're discarding. Well, so it often means you're discarding a card that is relevant at the point that you have 4 or more mana. Lots of lifelink here out of Yoel. I wonder if he has something like a Jousting Lance or a Forebearer's Blade to really push this issue.
An all-out attack here from Enevoldsen. Gideon's Reproach was the 2 mana that Larson had left open. Mesa Unicorn jumps in front of the Academy Journey Mage, Merfolk Trickster, in unblocked. Gideon is just punching people left and right today. Boom. And there's trades all around. Follow-up play, Coldwater Snapper from Thomas. Still nothing but Cheerios on the side of the Ivan Flock, Thomas Hendricks, and Joel Larson as far as wins go. So we've just got to win one more here for Enevoldsen or for Martin Dang.
It would be a nice comeback for them to rattle off 4 in a row.
That'd be like almost insane.
Yeah, it would be insane. I believe in it.
It's happened.
I think it can happen.
It's a great team. Oh, Traxos Scourge of Krug hits the table here for Joel Larson. Speaking of historic cards, it's a pretty nice one. Comes into play tap, though, so not doing any blocking as of right now.
Pretty nice alongside a Voltaic Servant.
Oh, yeah. You got to have the Servant for Traxos. Traxos Scourge of Krug is actually how you're supposed to say it, by the way. There's a look of Voltaic Servant with his little Voltaic key. Weight of Memory here from Enevoldsen. It's actually going to mill Joel. Finds Urza's Ruinous Blast into the graveyard. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, Weight of Memory, the target player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard mode. Can be really interesting in this format. I've seen people get decked. I've seen people put cards that have been scryed to the top into their opponent's graveyard. And I've also seen people use it to fill up their own graveyard to, make their things like Soul Salvage more powerful. So that mill 3 that can go in either direction, a pretty interesting part of the card.
All right, so there we saw a discard Baird Steward of Argive from Larson for the Indestructible Clause. Still able to fight back on 4 lands. Keep himself in this game, able to gain life there too from that Sanctum Spirit block up to 12. Eldest Reborn in hand, I spy for Larson.
Wow, so I think Larson really needs a way to get this Trickster off the battlefield because he wants to use the Eldest Reborn to deal with Thomas's Turtle here.
All right, well, we're just going to do it, and that will untap Traxos.
And Traxos deals pretty nicely with Coldwater Snapper also, simply by virtue of being a 7/7.
So we're going to see now if the Sanctum Spirit wants to get in there. And it does, so the Merfolk Trickster is sacrificed, and Traxos gets in there too, plus the Sanctum Spirit, hitting for 10.
And that lifelink puts Joel into a very comfortable position here.
Back up to 15. Enevoldsen down to 7.
Enevoldsen at the point now where he's going to start needing to just throw fodder in front of this Traxos simply to survive. Let's see if we can get enough power and toughness onto the table to actually trade with it.
I love seeing Traxos in one of these decks. That's how you know there's a little bit of silliness happening.
I really like Traxos. It's a card I've gotten to play with a decent amount. I also take Voltaic Servants too high, because I level 1/3.
I mean, you have been talking about the Gitu Chronicler as a 1/3 a lot.
Yeah, I mean the Skin Witch and Gitu Chronicler are my two favorite parts about this set. I think they're the reason the set is as slow as it is.
Skin Witch is great. All right, here's Chapter 2. We're going to see a discard here from Thomas. Whoa, 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 whoa. I was going to say, there looks like there's some spicy stuff in Joel Larson's hands, but I don't want to guess. He's kind of shuffling them around a little bit. Just a Journey Mage and an Arcanist untapped for Enevoldsen. But that Sanctum Spirit has been doing some work for Joel Larson in this game.
Yeah, it has drastically affected the life totals here. A really nice card to put Arcane Flight on some decks. Ooh,
Tashar.
okay.
Oh, wait, excuse me. That's Shalai,
Yeah.
the voice of plenty.
Yeah, now Eol does not have green mana to activate the ability here, but a 3/4 flyer for 4 is a really nice deal. And the other ability on there, the ability of you and your creatures having hexproof, could come up.
I mean, who needs the Leyline of Sanctity when you've got Shalai?
Yeah, the interesting part is it's rare that you have a better target than the Shalai for your opponent's cards. But when you do, it's pretty nice. And the activated ability is just such a good mana sink.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's at its best in, these dedicated green-white decks where Shalai is just built to thrive.
All right, we're going to see a tap here of the Arcanist to be able to deal with that Shalai. Fiery Intervention is going to send her into the graveyard. 4 mana still open here for Thomas. You've got to wonder what else he has up his sleeve.
And it looks like Thomas has a pretty stacked hand, even at this stage of the game.
Ooh, I think we're going to see a Tempest Djinn here.
Yeah, quite the deal. Paying 3 mana, getting a 5/4 flyer.
Anna Voltson considering attacking with that Journey Mage, but it's just going to be the Coldwater Snapper that's getting in here. And that Fiery Intervention on the Shalai has got to be a tiny bit awkward as well because of the
Saga.
The Saga, which is going to hit Chapter 3 on Larson's turn.
Yeah, the eldest might be reborn here.
Who's the eldest? Yawgmoth?
Well, I was thinking Shalai was the eldest in this case, but the actual eldest might be Yawgmoth.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it? That's a good question. I don't know. We need some lore experts to let us know who the actual eldest is.
Hit your Vorthos button.
Yeah.
Calling out Vorthos. Tempest Djinn resolves here for Anna Voltson, which it is a 5 power flyer at this point. Gets +1/+0 for each basic island you control.
So Joel not looking to be in a very good spot here. Needs to win this game and the following game. Needs to have Flock win the following game.
All right, yep. So Martin Degg, even Flock tied up, but still plenty of work to do for Flock, Hendricks, and Larson. Sanctum Spirit getting in again. Does Yol have a way to make it indestructible? Journey Mage blocking. Yeah, Urguros, the empty one here. And Rescue sends the Journey Mage back to Anna Voltson's hand. Rescue on the stack. Taking a look at Rescue, the second time we've seen it cast today while we've been in the booth. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand.
Yeah, I mean, there's a card that I have not played with. I did not perceive it to be a card that I would want to be playing with. But today I've already seen 2 people who I consider to be much better Magic players than myself cast Rescue. So I might be off on this. I perhaps need to speak to them a little bit about, when and why they're including Rescue in their deck or sideboarding it in. But it's pretty interesting to me, and it's been quite a powerful card every time I've seen it be cast. So,
I mean, maybe he just brings it in if he thinks Yol's playing a removal-heavy deck and he just needs to save something. I've seen people bring it in versus in Bolas Clutches like we talked about before. I don't know. Traxos is back in action here for Larson. Larson drops down to 2 after that attack from Enevoldsen. Sanctum Spirit, remember, does have lifelink.
Larson has Blessed Light in hand, but he hasn't been able to deal with Thomas's best threat. And Voltson has this Coldwater Snapper, and Hexproof is just proving to be too much for Larson to deal with.
So Larson plays a land and passes the turn back over to Enevoldsen, and Deep Freeze on the Sanctum Spirit, potentially shutting down the ability for any lifelink. It's good. In comes the team.
Yeah, you're going to be able to survive this turn, but not looking good beyond that.
Yep, everybody turns sideways here for Enevoldsen. The 0-4 wall in front of the Coldwater Snapper, and Larson extends the hand. And there it is. Team of Dang, Larson, and Enevoldsen take down their match here in round number 5, advancing to 5-0, nearly blanking the team of Flock, Hendricks, and Larson. Congratulations to them. Terrific start to this tournament. We're playing 8 rounds today here at GPDC. Come back tomorrow. The teams will build all new sealed decks from 12 new packs. And then we cut to the top 4 and we get to team draft. Well, Yoel Larson's was a pretty neat deck. We didn't really get to see it 100% do its thing, but it was a nice little historic deck that was using, I don't know, that Sanctum Spirit survived longer than I've ever seen a Sanctum Spirit survive. I'll say that.
Yeah, he had a lot of fodder to discard to that. We saw Traxos in play for quite a while. He never got the combo going with Voltaic Servant, but he was able to untap it with a pretty good level of consistency. The thing is when you're casting these bigger spells and your opponent has that many copies of cards like Academy Journey Mage, it can be really hard to not just get tempoed out of a game. And even in a format like this where that doesn't happen that often, it's still a dangerous thing. And decks that can apply pressure while taking pressure off the opponent's side of the board with efficient mana use, those are always going to be dangerous.
All right, well, we'll have more Magic from round number 5 here at GPDC after these messages.
So judges are here to make sure that you guys have the best possible event that you can. We help out with logistical things like putting up pairings, passing out slips, giving you product if you need product, and basically here to help you out with anything that you need. Answer any judge calls that you have, whether it be about the rules, the event, or just life in general. We're here to help you.
booth here at GPDC, Maria Bartholdi, Jacob Van Lunen, and we are getting ready for some time walk magic here in round number 5. We've got Brad Nelson, Brian Bronduin, and Martin Mueller versus Justin Rios, Jordan Berkowitz, and Geddes Cooper. Let's head on down. Here we're going to start on table C, Martin Mueller versus Geddes Cooper. Both teams currently undefeated. Memorial to Genius is going to kick things off for Mueller. 2 Mountains for Cooper. Good team on the right side of your screen there. Brad Nelson, Brian Bronduin, 13th and 15th right now in the top 25 player rankings. Not too shabby.
Yeah, Geddes Cooper, somebody who plays a lot of Magic Online.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I've seen him team up with a number of reasonably big names over the last couple of years.
Merfolk Trickster was able to flash in at the end of Cooper's last turn, and here is a Get to Journey Mage for Martin Mueller. He's going to be able to deal 2 to Cooper. Gets Shivan fired, but he's down to 16, and now Merfolk Trickster gets swinging in for the attack. Tolarian Scholar, though, going to slow things down just a little bit. Opt here for Mueller.
Opts to put that card onto the bottom.
I see what you did there.
Learning from the best.
Vidalian Arcanist, the follow-up for Mueller. You do have to be a little bit careful of that card. Remember, it can tap for colorless. For instance, in sorceries, Tolarian Scholar is getting frisky here into the red zone, knocking Mueller down to 18. And it looks like it's going to be a divination here for Geddes Cooper. No lands, though.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, this is a format where you really want to be hitting land drops, and you can often afford to play a little more mana than you might be able to otherwise because of the kicker ability that's on a lot of the cards. There are also a lot of mana sinks.
Cooper down to 13 after a swing in there from Mueller. Merfolk Trickster and the Arcanist. Bloodstone Goblin here for Cooper. And an Opt. Looking for those lands. And we found one. It's a mountain. So we've got 2 blue-red decks, a mirror match here on table C.
It looks like both of them are wizard themed to some degree. I believe Martin has some counter magic in hand, so he's ready for whatever Geddes might be trying to put forth.
2-headed giant is the creature here for Cooper. Does Mueller have an answer? Here it resolves. We're going to draw 2 cards with Memorial to Genius. No attack, so it's back over to Mueller.
2-headed giant's just so good.
I love that card. Ooh, we're going to see a coin flip.
I believe Martin does have Shivan Fire, though.
Oh, dang it.
But hopefully he gives the opportunity to flip some coins anyway.
I want to find out.
I'd like to see some coins flipping on camera.
All right, so we're going to roll some dice for it here. Not sure what the double 3s represented. Heads or tails. But we do know I got some kind of bonus, I can only assume. But Shivan Fire has something to say about that. Targeting the 2-headed giant. If both the flips come up heads, by the way, it gets double strike. If they both come up tails, it gains menace until end of turn. Another Tolarian Scholar here for Cooper. And another Merfolk Trickster is going to tap it down.
Oh, we could have a big turn here.
Are we going to see Adeliz Cinderwind? In fact, we are here for Martin Mueller.
Italy is at its absolute best in these types of decks.
There's a Divination to pump the team and a Shivan Fire in response. But we're still going to see that effect from Adeliz on those Merfolk Tricksters. And that Arcanist, they're all wizards.
Yeah, so that becomes 8 damage. Suddenly Getty's at a precarious life total. Martin just needs to find a way to deal 5 more points.
Tolarian Scholar number 3 here for Geddes Cooper. Wow, he is ready for the university on his side of the battlefield.
Yeah. Not really a good sign when you're playing 3 Tolarian Scholars.
No.
Even if you are a wizard deck.
All right, well, the Bloodstone Goblin is going to get in here. I want to see the payoff. I mean, does he have like 1 million Fire Fist adepts? Academy Journey Mage hanging out at the front of Martin Mueller's hand currently.
He does have a pair of Fire Fist adepts.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Flame Tongue Kavu there. As it currently sits even a little better than that. Adeliz Cinderwind number 2 for Martin Mueller and a fight with fire. Taking down one of the Tolarian Scholars. In swings the team. We've got the pump there from Adeliz on everybody. So those Merfolk Tricksters are 3/3s. And Geddes Cooper has seen enough. Scoops him up. Martin Mueller taking down game 1 versus Geddes Cooper. And that's exactly how I like my blue-red decks to play out. Tempo, tempo, swing, swing, you're dead. Let's check in here on table A. Justin Rios versus Brad Nelson, currently ranked number 13 in the world. Playing green-black, as he did for a time in Standard.
Justin just tried to settle the score Thorn Elemental, but Thallid Omnivore decided to gobble it up instead.
It's a pretty big meal. Thallid Omnivore hits the red zone. A Saproling token from Justin Rios jumps in front for the chump block. We're going to activate this Memorial to Unity, it looks like, here for Brad Nelson.
Brad has a decent amount of mana left over. Potentially more even.
Back over to Justin Rios in Eviscerate in hand, a notable card that I happen to notice. Academy Drake there I see at the front as well.
Yeah, it does have enough mana to play both of those cards, or could simply kick an Academy Drake if he wanted to.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to make a 4/4 flyer. 4/7. Back over to Nelson, and there we see that Memorial to Unity activation. We're going to look at the top 5 cards of our library. See if we can find a creature. Oh, whiff here from Brad Nelson. Two Eviscerates already in the graveyard for Nelson as well into this game. Quick update here, Brian Bronduin winning his game 1 over Justin Berkowitz on table B.
So, getting these Saplings out of the way one at a time by attacking with this Omnivore now. Brad really trying to power his way through, pick up this first game. And this is still game 1. The boards are trading. This Academy Drake looks like it might be able to finish things off, but oh.
Caligo Skinwitch kicked here will force a double discard from Justin Rios. Broken Bond and Forest hit the bin.
Oh, wow, but Justin's hand.
It is all kill spells all the time.
Yeah, I believe he has like a cast down and an Eviscerate at the ready.
Academy Drake gets in there 4/4. Looks like this Eviscerate might have something to say about that Thallid Omnivore. Sure enough, Down it goes.
And Justin going to be a little more aggressive with this removal than he might have been before. Now that he's down to fewer cards, doesn't want to get double skin-witched out of the game.
Settle the score. We'll take care of that Academy Drake. Have you ever seen a settle the score put counters on a Planeswalker?
I have.
In Limited?
Yes.
Wow, that's nasty.
So it counters on a Karn. Irrelevant
Seems good.
counters.
Seems
but,
good.
You know.
Baloth Gorger here is going to be kicked by Justin Rios, coming in as a 7/7. So something else that Brad Nelson has to deal with. All his creatures currently pretty puny.
Yeah, I mean, he's working with some things that did a pretty good job of holding off the Saprolings, but a 7/7 is nothing to scoff at. And this is a card that Brad will likely be forced to use a card of his own to deal with. Brad not in the worst spot here, thanks to it being a team tournament. Both of his teammates up a game.
I love that. You're like, well, I'm not winning, but my teammates are. Jasu Vet hitting the table here for Brad Nelson. Not kicked, though. He decided he did not want to wait in a 4-5 menace. 4-4 is good enough.
Yeah, Brad has, has to hit 3 more lands before he could kick that. Ooh, but
No fear.
well, no, it's Tetsuko has given these Saprolings the unblockability.
Oh, there she is. Tetsuko entering the fray. Skittering Surveyor also able to get in here, unblocked. And that Baloth Gorger is just huge.
I like how it's power or toughness 1.
Yes, that's great.
Some interesting stuff comes up therein.
I love Tetsuko. I don't know if I value her too highly, but... All right, we're going to see a Vicious Offering here.
Wow, and this is a blowout.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Brad will be able to end up blocking these Saproling creature tokens and Skittering Surveyor, effectively eating most of Justin Rios' board after dealing with Tetsuko. Wow, what a blowout.
And Brad, still has a 7/7 to deal with, but now he can chump block it for a little while getting in with a 4/5 menace of his own. And he still has more cards in hand that may, in fact, do things.
We'll see. Jasu Ves here hitting the red zone for Nelson. 4/5 menace. Knock Rios down to 11. No play. Passes back over. All right, so there's a chump. You mentioned Skin Witch in front of the Gorger. Flying Cat Warrior here. Mills Rios 4/3, but he gains 3 life as well. Windgrace Acolyte.
Windgrace Acolyte has been better than I expected it to be.
The 3 life, usually very relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, a Mammoth Spider here will do very nicely on blocking duty for that Windgrace Acolyte. Jasu Ves able to get in an attack while the Gorger was tapped.
Ooh.
But cast down, that Justin Rios had in his hand. We've just got to throw an elf in front of the Gorger.
Oh, wow!
Sylvan Awakening!
Sylvan Awakening!
For Brad Nelson, all of the lands are 2/2s, and a 4/5 with menace was enough. Brad Nelson over Justin Rios. That was incredible.
Out of nowhere.
He had to have that Sylvan Awakening or he was dead.
Unbelievable there. A lot of hasty power.
I love it. That was great. Brad Nelson up a game over Justin Rios. 0-0-0 for the team of Rios, Berkowitz, and Cooper, so they've got a lot of work to do here if they want to get back in this thing. Looks like some Siege Gang Commander violence here on the battlefield. Both of them in the graveyard, but their goblins left behind. Keldon Raider here will rummage away for Martin Mueller.
Yeah, Martin playing multiple copies in his deck, really ensuring that he doesn't draw too many lands or expensive spells when he needs to be playing more inexpensive spells.
And look at this. I mean, the Keldon Raider looking great here for Martin Mueller, who is able to essentially rummage away 2 lands and find 2 relevant spells.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like Keldon Raider is because of a card like Gitu Journey Mage, which is on the other side of the battlefield, and these are cards that cost less mana and trade up against the Keldon Raider. But looking like a pretty fine card here. Definitely a playable.
Opt here from Mueller is able to push something to the bottom of the deck, draw him a card. Here's a Journey Mage of his own. Is going to be able to bounce that Gitu Journey Mage, enabling this attack. Raiders in. This is our time walk match, by the way, while you see the players going a little fast.
I think Geddes there was deciding whether or not he wanted to double block with a Tolarian Scholar and a Goblin token, or triple block with Goblin tokens.
Sure. All right, so we just saw the double block with the Scholar and the Goblin token. We'll trade for 1 Keldon Raider there. Journey Mage will bounce a token into Oblivion there for Mueller. Life total's all tied up at 16. Here's a Fire Fist Adept for 3.
Yeah, so there you see that the Fire Fist Adept, while dealing with that Journey Mage, it was able to deal 2 even though one of the wizards was killed there.
Yeah, that's something you got to keep in mind with your Fire Fist Adept, is if there's a removal spell, will I still be able to kill the creature? And there you say he was. Just 1 Journey Mage here for Cooper. Fire Fist Adept able to swing on in here for Mueller. Another Memorial to Genius. Yeah, Mueller's deck well positioned to kind of just rip through it to find its spells. Looking pretty awesome to me.
Yeah, and Mueller, when he runs out of cards to cast, he can just start sacrificing these Memorials.
Refill the hand.
He also has double Adeles.
Yes, he does.
Right? Like a bunch of ops and whatnot. His deck's good.
All right, here we go. Adeles comes on in, and a Weight of Memory lets pump up our wizards and draw some cards, by the way. The other Adeles hits the bin on the mill there from the Weight of Memory. In comes Adeles and the Fire Fist Adept. Pumped up. Journey Mage jumps in front of the Adept. And blink of an eye here will send the Keldon Raider back to Mueller's hand. Cooper will get to draw a card, but Mueller will get to rummage again. No creatures left in play for Cooper. Goblin Chain Whirler.
That's a nice one. Not going to do much here, but just the 3/3 first strike body matches up nicely as long as Martin doesn't have another spell.
But of course, Martin does Shivan Fire here, targeting the Chain Whirler. And there is a handshake. Martin Mueller able to take down that match within a match. Here at our table, 2-0. So Brad Nelson and Brian Bronduin just need to, either one of them needs to win a game. And they've got this whole thing in the bag and advance to 5-0. Let's check in on Jordan Berkowitz versus Brian Bronduin, currently ranked number 15 in the world. BBD looks to be on white-blue versus, is this really mono-white from Jordan?
It could be. Let's see what Jordan's working with.
I mean, you are able to do it if you have enough artifacts, I think, and we've got some pretty good ones on Jordan's side of the battlefield in the form of Icy Manipulator and Mishra's Self-Replicator.
Yeah, Jordan is mono-white here.
Oh, that's really cool. Sarah Angel hits the table for BBD. Call the Cavalry will add a few more knights to Berkowitz's army. Oh, how about a Lyra Dawnbringer for BBD? Icy Manipulator taps down the Sarah Angel, but now 2 big bad angels in the air for BBD. Yeah, read that card. It's not good for you. Voltaic Servant here will make another copy of Mishra's Self-Replicator. And the copy, it stacks. It does stack, so he's able to make 2 there.
Jordan also has Traxos in his deck.
Oh, nice. That makes sense. I love those Power Storm charts with the Self-Replicator. BBD's deck is a force to be reckoned with here. Icy Manipulator down.
And now nothing going to stop Lyra or Sarah Angel.
I mean, what is Berkowitz? You know, he's got to have the exile. Seal away, Blessed Light. Like, that's it. And there's an attack in with the Angels from Brian Braun-Duin, who is certainly doing it right now. Coldwater Snapper, the follow-up here. Living up the top of this deck is Justin Berkowitz down to 6. What can he find?
We may see a desperation attack here, but that's all it would be.
Jousting Lance. We can make a copy, sure, but we've got plenty of blockers back on BBD's side as well. Berkowitz's creatures fall in battle. Back over to BBD, who has Benalish Marshall, and that will do it. The team of Brad Nelson, Brian Braun-Duin, and Martin Mueller takes down this match versus Rios, Berkowitz, and Cooper, advancing to 5-0 undefeated as of yet here in our tournament, Grand Prix DC.
Yeah, yet another game lost to unanswered flyers.
And some pretty good ones at that. But this is really cool. I like what Justin Berkowitz has built with that Mishra Self-Replicator. As you can see, it was getting completely out of control. Like if he had lasted maybe 1 or 2 more turns, or that Lyra hadn't been in play, he would have completely overwhelmed BBD with those replicator tokens.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we've got a commercial for you right now. More Magic coming up. Don't go anywhere.